right.
Okay, Kurt coming in. All right.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for coming, or good morning, depending on where you're at. If you could do us a favor, could you please go to the chat window? I have put in the instructions here. We'd like to actually open up want you to open up an incognito, in private, or a guest browser. This way your credentials don't get messed up. And then click on the link that you're actually seeing in there. It's a cdx.transform.message. Okay, click on that link, right? And then select a person you want to be. Click on the blue browser and or the blue like launch, and go ahead and open up. You'll see a black screen. We're going to get started here in about 5 minutes or 3 minutes after the hour. Awesome here. Okie dokie, artichoke. And then Phil, if you go to the chat, the attendees, and just push allow to talk on all of them. Sure. Okay. All right. Okay, once again, we're just doing a quick announcement. If you go to the chat window, please. I put in there, I just put in, it says, please open an in private, incognito, or guest browser and click on the link cdx.transform. Then type in your name and select a persona who you will be today. Click on the blue launch button after that, and then a black screen will pop up where you'll see a Teams, Adobe, and Acrobat, and the Recycle Bin. And you're a winner if you've gotten this far. If you could do us also a favor, could you please come back to the chat window and type in just GTG, you're good to go. So this way we know that everybody's in. Phil, do you want to go ahead and just show the window where they'll get to it? Okay, sure. Awesome. So Ted's in, Kurt's in, awesome. Great job, everyone. Okay, this is where you're gonna, that link is gonna take you to this web page. You'll type in your name and then just launch a persona. It doesn't have to be your current role where you're at, but what we're doing is working within a fake organization today. So you can do any one of those. Perfect. Okay.
If they're all taken up, just go ahead and go to the next page.
Yeah. All right. Ted's in, Kurt's in. Please come back to the chat window, put in GTG. It'll help us. This way we can make sure that we get going soon. All right, Sam is in, Brad is in, awesome. Ted, Kurt, Sam, Brad, Chad is in, fantastic. Good job, everyone. Let's keep this up. And did you allow everyone to talk?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so once again for everybody, okay, please come back and put in just GTG that you're ready to go. You've gotten in, and then or raise your hand, or just say I'm stuck or I can't find it, so we can help you get in. Alyssa's there. Perfect. Good job, Alyssa. Ryland's in. Awesome. 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7. Andrew. All right. 8. We got more than half. Okay, I'm going to do this again. For those who just joined, go to the chat window, please. Use an incognito browser, guest browser in private. Click on that link. It's going to take you to a page where you type in your name and you launch somebody you want to be today. And then it should open up a black screen for you. After you launch the persona, it'll open up a black screen where you'll see it, Microsoft Teams, Acrobat, and Recycle Bin. Okay. See this black screen? That's where you should be getting. Now, when you're done, please come back to the chat window if you'd be so kind, and let us know that you're good to go by just typing GTG in the chat window. GTG. All right, Alan's in. All right. We got Alan, Andrew, Rylan, Alyssa, Chad, Brad, Sam, Kurt, Ted. Okay, we're getting close. Okay, Tony's coming back here. Where's Tony? Tony Tacano. Let's see, he's coming in. Sam Ruff. Michael Goldstein. Tony, all right. Hey, Tony, you in? Are you good to go? Hello, Alexander. How are you? How are you? Okay, Jonas is good to go. All right. Well, this is a good group. This is a good group. We usually have a lot more like, what the heck? WTH. What the heck? How do we do this? So this is perfect. Okay. Looks like we'll just, hey, Michael. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay. I think we have about a quorum here. I'm going to do this last thing I'm going to put in there. If you go to the chat window, I'm putting in the directions again to open up the sandbox environment. Last time I'm going to mention this. When you're done, come back. If you haven't already said it, tell me GTG, good to go. And then we'll make sure that you're there. And we're going to just kick it off here in just a moment. I'm going to have Ted Green here from Green IT. I'm just one of your facilitators here. So I'm just helping getting you started, but Ted's really going to start this all out. Why don't we go ahead and, yeah, Ted, would you mind kicking it off?
Sure. Thanks, Sherman. Hey,
Yeah.
hello, and welcome everybody to our Microsoft 365 hands-on lab. We're excited to walk you through the different security concepts and tools available in the Microsoft 365 suite and show you the power behind Azure Sentinel, which is one of the top SIEM security information and event management tools. So these tools can help you develop sophisticated security posture. Again, my name is Ted Green. I'm with Green IT Consulting, and one of our pillars is to focus on the education of our customer base, and welcome you all here to see standardly how we do that in today's session. Our mission is for you to understand the how, the why, and the reasons behind these set of security tools. And then I think we've got some slides to show as well. So yeah, as far as we're concerned, so we work actually globally. The majority of our work is done in the United States, across the United States, but we're working in Canada as well. And we've got some work going on in Africa. We are headquartered in the greater Seattle area, but we've got folks distributed across the country. We came out of Microsoft's head office here in Redmond about 2012. My team at Microsoft came out and we formed this company, and have been doing Microsoft technologies in the communication, collaboration, security focused areas, independent of our relationship with Microsoft as a Microsoft partner. So we're a silver Microsoft partner as well. All right, so I'd like to introduce you to our facilitator today. His name's Phil Kent, and he's the Azure Immersion Workshop Facilitator for Microsoft US and Canada, and we're really fortunate to have him present today, and look forward to hearing his thoughts on this specific technology concept. Hi, Phil.
Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's get started here. Real quick, I'm just gonna thank you for everyone, being here today. Taking your time to be here during this customer immersion experience for M365 Security and Sentinel. This learning experience is really different from others because, we're using, the CIE customer immersion experience to, get you in there, being able to, touch and push buttons and do everything you can to get to see where you're at, right? So what I'd like for you to do is just go down to the chat and go ahead and put something in there on what you're looking to learn today. Maybe I can kind of tailor it to some of the interest here, and we can kind of go from there. Awesome. So what brought you in here today? Here we go. How to use, only a beginner. All right, no problem, Alan. Awesome. What else we got? Beginners, no problem. Perfect. So while you're doing that, I'm just going to introduce myself. You can call me Phil for one. I was in the Marine Corps for 20 years. I was a first sergeant in the Marine Corps. Before first sergeant, I was actually a communications guy. And, in my tenure, I directed both, joint and multinational forces and special operations. I established cohesive communications, whether it was from, handheld radios to big, networks providing satellite communications and internet access. I have 4 combat tours to Afghanistan and Iraq. I was a combat instructor and an anti-terrorism officer. I also have a master's degree in Homeland Security. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, basically my whole entire adult life has been security of some sort. So I know we all come from different backgrounds, whether you're a beginner or if you know a lot about security. But, just put it in the chat there. I really appreciate you letting me know what, oh, thank you. I appreciate it for your support there. Carlos, appreciate that. And, basically just a few ground rules. This is by far the most laid back class you'll have, right? I want you to ask questions if you have any questions. I'm going to ask for a thumbs up or good to goes in the chat to see where you're at and make sure that you're up where I'm at while I'm teaching, okay? And then also too, if you have a question, just go ahead and say it out loud or put it in the chat window, no problem. You're not interrupting us one bit. It's really, when you're thinking about questions, a lot of people have the same question. If you ask that question, you're probably answering it or asking it for somebody else, So, we definitely want to make this an interactive session. So, all right, let's get started, right? So when we're talking about security, we're talking about the landscape, right? So we're going to be covering some of the key capabilities and functions of Microsoft 365 Security Suite. And what you'll notice is how Microsoft's really changed the way they protect their customers' businesses, right? As they, transition from an on-prem to a cloud service. And it's no longer about protecting the perimeter around your resources, right? But it's kind of like protecting a combat post. And that's the way I kind of think about it. But it's really about the air above as well, right? And, being recently retired, being a Marine, not only do I know security in a physical sense, but what I like about security is the very common place of where I can connect my military background to, layers beyond layers of security and defense into what, security is now for cybersecurity, right? So if you can imagine, right, and this is the way I think about it, it might be weird, but if you can imagine a bunch of MiG fighter jets, right, piloted by hackers dropping bombs on your network. So what we need now is intelligent access controls. And this really ensures that only approved users can access secure information. And what you'll notice about Microsoft and what's really cool about it is it's simple. I love simplicity and I'm a Marine, so everything simple is good, right? So their vision is really just to provide a well-versed security solution to have you understand both for the IT and the end user, right? So it's not just the IT guy that's doing all this stuff. See, if we make security too complex, not only do we compromise our end users, but we actually introduce more opportunities for errors, right? And that's a bad move. So you have to find a good balance about security because it can't be too tough because then you won't be able to get work done. And then it can't be too lenient where we can make, huge mistakes, right? So we're going to talk about the zero trust model. And the zero trust model is really just assuming that everything behind the firewall is safe, instead of, right? Zero trust model really assumes that every request is actual breach. And what it does is it verifies each request and authorizes it. And regardless of where your request is really originating from or what the person is trying to access, right? Zero trust model always teaches us never trust, but always verify. So every access request is fully authenticated, authorized, and encrypted before getting access. And this is just from, rich intelligence and analytics and all this stuff that's, utilized to detect and respond to anomalies in real time, right? So in real time, we can, see if it's a trusted user, we can see if it's on a trusted device, and, if it's using trusted applications. And this empowers our users. But remember, trust nothing, verify everything. So I'm gonna give you some statistics right here. It's, for every minute, 2.9 million is lost in cybercrimes, right? So by the time we're done with this CIE today, 261 million is going to be lost in that time frame. And that's huge, right? And that's why we never trust. We always verify. So I know what you're saying. You're saying, Phil, how do we do these things? And we do these things by using smart clouds. And Microsoft actually has an intelligent security graph that's a smart cloud, right? And it uses the vast security intelligence and machine learning and analytics, and really that powers both the Microsoft Defender Smart Screen and then also the Microsoft Defender antivirus. And what this does is it really classifies different applications to be either good, bad, or unknown. And at the most basic level for everyone to understand is, the Microsoft Security Cloud is really just a data plane, right? That collects all the telemetry from every Microsoft application. So from the billions and billions of scans that Microsoft applications actually use and can see and make these threats known, right? So what they do is they protect you by basically pushing updates automatically so we can block those threats, right? So we've hit the point really in today's world, right, that our minds and hands can't keep up. So we have to have these smart clouds like the Microsoft Security Graph. Just like we were talking about before, how security has really shifted, right, to the cloud, right? Remember, security is no longer about building a barrier, right? But it's really about managing, identities. And, by managing identities, and what's cool about Microsoft is you can manage these identities through multi-factor authentication. So what I like to do is send out a poll here. If you ever heard of multi-factor authentication, if you haven't, maybe you're a beginner, don't know, that's okay. I'm gonna put this poll out here. And does your organization enable multi-factor authentication? So we have some yeses, most of everybody's yes, great, it's good. Couple no's, 3 no's, 4 no's, okay, no problem. Hey, that's okay, that's why I'm here, so I could teach you, let you know what you need, and then we can assess where you're at, right? All right, right in that poll there. Good, good. So, when we're talking about multi-factor authentication, MFA is critical because identities are really critical, right? And what, the bad actors are trying to do is get that information. And, if they steal your information, we're in big trouble. So MFA needs to be basically the foundation of your security program. See, I have no idea how to build a home, right? I have no idea. I've never built a house before in my life. But what I do know is that you have to have a good foundation to build a house, right? And MFA should be the foundation to your new security home. And there are many ways that you can use MFA. And I'm gonna share my screen here. 1 second. And through MFA, you can use something called the Authenticator app. You can, use text to phone. You can call to phone. Can everybody see my screen here? It's my office.com here. I'm going to sign in. And you can use Windows Hello if that's what you have on your device. So I'm going to just show you what MFA kind of looks like here. And I'm going to sign in. All right, I'm using my personal credentials here. And what happens is when I sign in, it's going to ask me for either enter a code, or you can sign in using an Authenticator app. You can use that code. You can use text to phone like I was talking about. And what this does is if I use my Authenticator app, I get basically a buzz on my phone here. And what it's asking is approval for me to get into this program here, right? To my office.com. Now I just approved it through my phone, and now I can be signed in. And I would say the coolest part is being able to just get on quickly, get with your Authenticator app, right? I would say the bad part of this whole thing is a lot of people just kind of hit approve and just go on their day. And maybe there's an approval on your phone, and when it comes up, right? But maybe you're not next to your computer, or you're not at work. Maybe you're at the gym, but how do you know who's trying to access that, right? So definitely when you're looking at your phone, that you don't automatically approve. I know sometimes when we just want to hit buttons just to get out of it and go, but you really have to take the time and make sure that you don't approve somebody into your account by accident. And another thing that's cool about the Authenticator app is you can actually go in there and you can see what your login times were. You can see where you logged in at. So if there is kind of anomaly and it's kind of looking kind of weird, you can kind of check that out and contact your IT team. So that's what's kind of cool about the Authenticator app. And I didn't show you, but this is what it kind of looks like. If kind of looks like this. Your Authenticator app comes up. You can either use your fingerprint or face recognition, your iWatch, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool, pretty cool. For Microsoft other applications. So yeah, you can use different accounts through your Authenticator app, and you can even use maybe if you have an iPhone, you can use it as a storage, as saying it's okay to store different things onto your phone, different types of passwords to different applications. So yeah, it's great. All right. So now that we have basically like a second form of authentication, right? We're at the root of identity-driven security. And what that's really called is conditional access. And conditional access is really the capability to help you better protect yourselves, or your business, right? By really just making sure that only, secure devices actually access secure applications. And these, credentials are really enforced by policy or multiple policies to control these users or resources of information. So, lost and stolen credentials. Let's talk about that for a sec. 80%, all right, 80% is related to security-related breaches. If you can minimize the risk of, getting into something using passwords, yeah, we can protect ourselves, right? Maybe 4 out of 5 attacks. But organizations these days are really more worried about the more complex security attacks. And the ones that you kind of hear about in the news, right? Like the meatpacking plant, the power plant, stuff like that, right? Those are the big things, the stuff that hits the news. But what about the stuff that doesn't hit the news? What if it's the mom and pop shop, right? Or the small business owner? That's definitely what we're looking at here, right? And, you know, while that happens, you know, we need to ensure that we have a strong foundation in place. And, you know, this begins by implementing MFA. So if you don't have it, you know, get with your partners here and get that in there, right? So it really ensures just appropriate parties can access secure information. So if a bad guy had my credentials per se, right, they would immediately have my information. But now that we have a second form of authentication, now they also have to steal my device, right, my phone. They have to have access. They have to have my username and password. And then they have to have either my fingerprint or my face, which I don't think that's going to happen today, right? You know, I like to fight back. So there's no way they're going to get that stuff. So, you know, by integrating that second form of biometric authentication, you can use the Authenticator app like I showed you, but you can ensure that, you know, you have the necessary foundation again, you know, to basically protect against most or majority of security threats with MFA, okay? So pretty sweet there. I'm gonna go ahead and show you something here. And, you know, everybody's teleworking from home these days, right? Because of everything that's going on in the world. You know, teleworking has really become, you know, essential basically to businesses these days, right? Many people are teleworking from home. You know, they're using personal devices, and, you know, what we're going to talk about really is just how do you secure data on a personal device, because we can't protect the device ourselves because, you know, they don't own my phone, right? But we can protect the data because we can protect the application. So I'm going to show you this real quick, and it's pretty cool. So everybody see my phone right here, right? So let's say, you know, I'm an avid gym goer, right? And so maybe I'm at work at lunchtime. I like to go to the gym, right? And I go to the gym, but I'm, you know, really looking forward to you know, an email from an associate of mine, right? It's pretty important. I want to get back to that person as fast as humanly possible as soon as I get it, right? So I'm at the gym, and I go ahead and, you know, click into my phone here, and, you know, you can download these apps onto your phone, like, you know, Outlook here. So I'm gonna go to my Outlook, and then it's asking me for my biometric. And once I use my biometric, either my fingerprint or face recognition, I can access now my Outlook from work, right? And, you know, what that does, and basically, you know, how that kind of works is, you know, it's really just the background, your IT department, right? Or, you know, maybe it's you know, Green here, right? Ted Green's gonna help you out here. You know, really just configure, you know, these Microsoft endpoints through management policies for, you know, protecting applications. And this can be configured for Outlook. It can be configured for different Office apps, you know, but, you know, you got to think about maybe one day or someday, right? We're no longer with this company, or maybe there's somebody that's leaving the company. So what happens is, you know, how do we not let these people, you know, get back into these applications that they use for work? Because obviously we don't want that information to be taken with, right? So we can actually go in there and, you know, remove their application, you know, from their phone or computer, personal device, anything like that, which is pretty cool. And I know we were talking about applications on a personal device, right? But let me see. I want to talk about basic applications or unapproved applications really on a company device. So I'm going to share my screen again here. And everybody see my my desktop here? All right. So
Not
when
yet.
we're
Not yet. Let's
No?
try to share screen again.
Boom.
There you go.
There we go. So here I am, right? Thank you, Sherman. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So when we're looking at this, right? When we're looking at unapproved applications on a person on a company device now, right? Let's say, for instance, I'm at work, and at lunch, what do? We get on our phones. We're checking, text. We're going on social media. We're posting. We're doing all this stuff, right? Maybe you're bored. You're thinking about, hey, what am I going to do? It's Christmas time coming up. I want to go see the family, right? Maybe I'm going to do some traveling. So I go to this, Microsoft Store. I go to the search here, and we go into, Trivago, right? Because I got some good deals. Here we go. No supporting anything, but just saying. So I'm going to get this Trivago app, right? Because I want to check out some good flights and hotel prices, right? So I launch it, and then boom, this application has been blocked by your system administrator. And what happens here is, basically there's no need for unapproved applications on a company device. So remember that zero trust model I was talking to you about, right? There's no need for unnecessary risk. And when you think about that, and the way I think about it is it's kind of like this is, when I was in the Marine Corps, and whether it had been Iraq or Afghanistan, right? We're doing patrols. If I knew, or if we had an indication that there was some kind of like IED down the road, there was no way I was taking my Marines down that road. No way, right? There's no need for that unnecessary risk. I would just go around, right? Or blow it up, because that's a lot funner. But, whenever we're performing our jobs, a risk is going to be in all the different services and tools and applications that we're using. And, without having control over those and leveraging those in your environment, we don't want people to download applications that we're unaware of, because that's, ultimately risking our business. So what you should do is you should have a approved application list, or somewhere posted, maybe in your Teams, or, somewhere where people can see it, right? And so that way they only download those type of applications, and then all other applications should be blocked to ensure that we're protecting our organization from threats. So I know I've been going for a little while here. Any questions so far before we get in our first lab here? No questions? All right. So the very first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to that black screen. So if you haven't done so so far, I want you to go to that that link there. Go ahead and push the link. Make sure you got your persona, right? Open it up. You have the black screen. Everybody there? Give me a thumbs up. We're good to go. All right. So that black screen should just look just like this, right? All right. Appreciate that. All right. So we're going to go into right here, security.microsoft.com. So I'll put this in here in the chat.
So we're going to open up the browser inside of the RDP.
Yeah. So the big thing is to go to the browser inside the browser, not your browser. Tracking? All right. Make sure you go to security.microsoft.com. Everybody there?
Hold on.
Thumbs up. Joined late. How do I get to the RPD? All right, Aaron, if you go up, or I'll post in the chat right here. Aaron, 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Got it?
All
right.
Aaron, if you don't mind, go to the chat window and there's a CDX link. Go ahead and click on that. And then when that opens up a screen, type in your name and launch a persona. And then you'll get the black screen. And then you'll be right there. Actually, I'm going to put it to everyone. I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and I posted it in the, I gave it to the wrong person. Okay, there it is. All right. So,
Cool.
Okay, security.microsoft.com.
Everybody's there. We're good. Thumbs up. Good to goes. GTG. And if I'm going too fast, raise your hand, say something. Let me know. Okay. I will slow down. No problem. Okay. So now that we're at security.microsoft.com, right? This Microsoft 365 Defender screen is going to pop up. All right. So we're just going to go over this real quick. And if you go to the top right here, you can see my little persona screen because I'm Megan today, right? If you look over to the left, you'll see the settings. And if you go all the way over to the left, right, you see this little hamburger, right? The little squashed hamburger. If you click that, it minimizes everything. Sometimes when it opens up this way, and it's kind of hard to kind of see what these are unless you hover over. So, I would say just open them all up so you can kind of see where you're at. And, you got your home button, and as you go down, you got your hunting. And what I want you to do is go down to secure score. And once you go to secure score here, I want to ask you a question. Is your credit score important to you? You don't have to put it in the chat or anything, but I want you to think about that. And I would probably say, and I'd probably answer for you, right? Yeah, it's definitely important, right? So the secure score here is actually basically like the credit score for our Microsoft security. So it's kind of cool, right? And really what it does is it shows you basically what your current state of your organization's security posture is. And, when you look at this here, it's basically just a snapshot overview on this page, right? But what I like you to do is go to can't talk today. Improvement actions, there we go. Once you click that, what I love about Microsoft, and I don't know about you, but they give you the answers to the test. And it's awesome because if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? That's what you say in the Marine Corps. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. So if they give you the answers from number 1, what you should do, down to number 9, right? Being the least prominent, right? But you want to work from your number 1 and work all the way down. And as you can see, these green check marks here, these are actually the ones that are already in place. These are the policies that we're already using. So we can see those. So what's cool is when you click on this one, right? Number 1, all right, require MFA. What's cool about this is once you click on it, everybody click on it, you can see at the very top, it tells you what MFA is and does. And then at a glance, right here, right? At a glance, it tells you what kind of category it is. So it tells you it's an identity. It tells you, it's in Azure Active Directory. It shows you what users are being impacted. And then what's even cooler is they give you more answers to the test on how to implement. And you can follow these directions here and implement that into your security program, right? So very cool. I love getting answers. If you go to the back button here and you go to history, so hit that back button, go back to the overview, go to history. Now, I know it's not going to show a lot of history on here because we just got on the 10 today, right? But the history will kind of look like this. And if you hit the matrix and trends, and well, it doesn't show it. All right. Well, what it would show is it would have basically a line graph, right? And it starts at 0. And as you implement different, policies like MFA, and other types of policies to up your score, it will actually show you as it goes, 0 to hero, right? As it goes up, you can actually see your progress. And the metrics and trends, and what I can't show you today, but what's kind of cool, let me see if it'll show. No. What's cool about this is it shows you, whatever other business that you're in. Let's say you're, I don't know, the windows and doors business, or maybe you're, a law firm, or whatever it is. It will take that same, job category and show you what the average is for, their secure score. So you can kind of see where other people are at. So if it's at 50% and I'm only at, 17.34, I got some work ahead of me, right? So I need to make sure that I in place good policies to get my score up. And, a lot of times people ask, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple other things. We have actually somebody in here, Aaron. Okay, Aaron, you got it. You're in. Okay, sorry. We had an attendee that was trying to get in here.
That's okay.
Yeah, if you go back to the overview thing, I just want to show a couple of things here.
Sure.
Along with what you're saying, because this is so cool, and how Phil was talking about is your credit score important. Well, your secure score is like a credit score for your company, right? And there's what I like about it is it does comparisons compared to other people like in your industry. We're not seeing here, but it gives you those improvement actions, right, that Phil was talking about earlier. But one thing you have to be careful of inside of Microsoft security, you can be so secure. The next thing you know it, you're in like 5 levels of security. I look at them as like doors or like jail, bing, 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 that literally you can't do anything. And that's why it's really important to work with a company like Green IT that really understands security, because there's just so much in here, right? And we're going to be going over a bunch of these things, but there's so much in here. But what we love about the secure score thing first, it's just a great way to kind of visualize, okay, regarding the cloud, where am I? Right? Where am I? And then these improvement actions. And if you click on, can you go to the required MFA one again, just to click on the, yeah. So if we selected require MFA, the other cool thing here, like what we were talking about, it does give you the directions, right? On the right-hand side, just like Phil was mentioning. I think it's so cool because it kind of gives you ideas. However, best thing to do is put together a security plan in place, because we're going to show you here a bunch of things you're going to have considerations for, but at least this shows you like some really cool, like initial things that you have to do. And you always want to be ahead of your competitors. This is going to tell you, okay, your competitor has a secure score of 38 and you're at 17. Whoops, wait a minute, what's going on? What do I have to do? So back to you, Phil.
I appreciate it, Sherman. Yeah, and the other thing to mention too is this is just for your Microsoft stuff, okay? So if you have other things that, Microsoft really can't touch or get into, that stuff is actually, it won't show up onto your, secure score per se. All right. So any questions on secure score? Well, I'll tell you, 78% of, people really lack the confidence of, their company's cybersecurity posture and what it looks like. So when you think about 78%, actually being able to know what your score is and, build off of that, you can definitely, boost that confidence, right? So, all right. Any questions so far?
What is this? Okay, here's one. What is the acceptable secure score? Now, that's a good question.
Yeah.
One of the things is kind of ambiguous. It's kind of tough, but they do typically on the left-hand side, under where it says identity and apps, they typically have how you compared, to yours, like underneath, there's another thing. You want to be, you got to be careful because everything is a little bit different, right? So you want to be probably around in the 40s to 50s, because as you get up there, holy smokes. I mean, you just remember, we talked about this whole tightening down so much that you can't even do anything. And I've done that to myself. I've really done it to myself here at the company, right? Like, oh gosh, now nobody can even send a file. Right? Everything's got an approval. So you just want to kind of be around, like, what is your industry standard, and then be 10 to 12 points up. That's how we see it. Good question though.
Yeah.
And then how often does Microsoft reevaluate the secure score? That's another really good question that has came in here. They actually, it's about 48 hours after you do something, it re-ups there. But Microsoft has, they're the second most attacked company in the world. And they're constantly updating different things based on policy. So when they put out a policy or something new, and if you have it implemented, you keep going up. So they're always updating and always trying to keep an eye on it. But that's a really great question. And the accepted industry standard for compliance, once again, that is, it all depends on what industry you're in too, right? So you have these aerospace industry, much different than, healthcare, but not even that much though, but healthcare is pretty intense too. Professional services are all a little bit different. What we can do afterwards is talk to you afterwards and talk to you about like, how do you can kind of configure this, but this is always a great start, just a great start to have.
Cool.
All right.
Nice. So now that we talked about secure score, I like to move down. So, right where you're at secure score here, let's go move down to email and collaboration, right? So as you go down here and you hit campaigns, and go ahead and hit that real quick. And we're just going to go over this real quick. But what you can do here is actually simulate, training and to see what, training on cyber attacks, right? So you can see what kind of solutions that you have and policies that really, test your security policies. So it's very cool that you can do in here as a, campaign, kind of checking, to make sure, how well you're protected, right? And when you move down even further, so when you go to campaigns, you move down further here, and I want you to go down to attack simulation training. So is everybody there? All right. So what's cool about this is, you can really see if how well your people
Refresh your
are.
screen. Yeah, mine came up. Yours, some reason, kind of.
Let's see. Thanks. All right, there it is. So what's cool about this is it kind of shows and trains, your employees on phishing attacks, right? So I'm going to put a poll out here real quick on basically phishing attacks, right? Does your staff train on how to identify phishing attacks?
So while you're voting on this one, just to kind of add a little bit color to this, this is a great way to basically train, but also test your current environment with this advanced threat or this attack simulation training. So we all know phishing is right now. Phishing identity are the two big things, and people stealing those credentials and whatnot. So inside of this attack simulation training scenario, we can actually create an email, a website. We can create these like simulated attacks where we send out an email that has simulated, links and like could it be credential harvest, could be phishing link, and then it automatically be sent out to all of your current users, right? Funny story: when I worked at Microsoft for 5 years, we went through this big security training, and out of the 100 people in my organization, and I'm humble, so I'll admit it. We went through it, and then I thought it was seriously from IT admins. They did one of these, and I clicked on it, and man, I had to go back to the darn training, because what it does is it does suggested training for you and whatnot. But it is really something. If you haven't done this, as far as your education, you really should do it. It is something, and you can do simulations. You've got payloads, different things that you can run. Really awesome, really cool. Sorry, Phil, don't mean to steal your thunder on this one, but man, I just love this one because it's great about education and safety.
Yeah, most definitely, because phishing is still ranked the go-to for most hackers because it's the easiest to do and it works the most often, right? I have this cool picture right here. All this stuff right here. I don't know if you can see it. Can everybody see this right here?
Yeah.
I love this picture. I saw it on some social media. You do all this stuff right here, right? You're monitoring 24/7. Your compliance is good. Your IT is like in the trenches, hooking and jabbing, and then boom, it takes one click from an email, right? That's all it takes. So phishing is definitely something that, you have to improve ourselves on, and you do that by training, and that's what you can use this screen for. So, 94% of malware is actually delivered via email. I know in 2020, malware was actually increased by 358%, and then also two ransomware is increased by 435%, and just 2019 to now, which is absolutely crazy. It's just nuts on how much they're targeting this, but it's because of, they're working at home, right? There's no one to help or watch you sometimes, if you have a question. So that is phishing. Any questions so far? We're good on that. So I know when we talk about, phishing and stuff like that, I'd like to, kind of pivot over and talk about, encryption. And what I'd like you to do is just open up a new browser here. And I want you to go to office.com. And once you go to office.com, I'd like you to go to Outlook here. Everybody there?
Okay, so office.com.
So when we're talking about emails, right? When we're talking about phishing and emails and stuff like that, we also want to talk about some encryption, right? So when you go to, new message here, you can actually encrypt the actual, email by hitting this button here, which is pretty cool, right? Also, if you don't use, basically like your browser, online browser, right? Let me see. Pull this up real quick. Or maybe I can't. All right, maybe I won't. So what you can do too is, basically on your regular email, it has the same button on there. When you pull it up, and what's cool is, you go to, options, and this is my personal one, right? You can hit encrypt right here. And if you don't have that button for some reason, because I had that once where, they were like, where's the button? I don't have it. You can actually go to, file and go to properties, and you go to security settings and go to encryption here as well. So, why encrypt an email? Can you give me some answers right here? Anybody?
How about social security numbers? PII,
Right.
private identifiable information, if you have to send it, but you don't want
Right.
to, but if you have to, right?
Yeah, if you had to send something pretty important where you have to encrypt something, while in the Marine Corps, a lot of stuff with, names and how many people and, where they're going, not necessarily too high up on the classification, but you definitely have to encrypt it to send it out to somebody. So that way only that person can actually open that and not being able to forward it to somebody else. So
Carlos mentioned, can you create a USB flash drive drop around the Office campaign? 100%. You could totally do that through the threat attack simulation. 100%. And it was funny. There's a factor there that they pulled 100 CIOs that went to an event, and they did a whole bunch of free USB, right, things. And out of those 100 CIOs, 70 of them took that USB and plugged it into their computer. Man, talk about, and then they did a big, everyone came to the last event, and they're like, okay, everyone here, raise your hand who got the free USB with the blah. And, they all raised, and they said, yeah, by the way, you've just been hacked. And man, there was a big, gasp in the thing. So, but that's Carlos. Yeah, that was a really good question. You'd want to do it for a HIPAA campaign, right? And you also want to make it unreadable and essentially useless to hackers. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And we're going to get into
Yeah.
data loss prevention here in just a moment, which is really going to be about compliance and policies. That's like your next step. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Phil. Back to you.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, we're definitely going to cover that right now, actually, Carlos. So what I'd like you to do is go to compliance right here. I'll actually put it in the chat here. Compliance.microsoft.com. No, great questions. I love the questions. Yeah, that's a huge thing that I had to deal with too, because a lot of times, you know, Marines aren't as smart as the average bear. So, you know, we, you know, want to charge our phone and we, you know, oh, it's a USB. We'll just, you know, charge my phone. But obviously that's also a device that can be, you know, pulling information. So, man, I hated those calls, hated them because I get a call.
Phil, can you go to office? I just want to show another way to navigate to compliance. Go to office.com. Sure. Okay, so anybody here is having trouble getting to compliance, go to office.com. Okay, and it's a little confusing here. Go to admin, the admin portal, bottom left-hand corner. See this is admin, bottom left-hand. So you click on that, right? And then you're going to click on, when that comes up, you'll say show all. Okay, go to the show all. And then you're going to see compliance center. These are all your admin centers. So you go here, endpoint manager, Azure Active Directory. This is kind of how you can get to a bunch of places. So now, remember, so we went to Outlook, right? We went to admin center, we went to show all, and then we went to the compliance center, right? So what we're doing here now is we're talking about data loss prevention, right? And policies, creating some policies. This is probably, and I'll just mention, this is probably one of the most important pieces of the security class, because you can do a lot of these MFAs, these SSOs, you could do a lot of this stuff, right, on the side, but it really comes down to, are you creating the right policies, the right things that are going to protect your data, right? Data loss prevention, keeping personal identifiable information, right, from not being accepted. There's this thing called GDPR, the right to be forgotten, right? GDPR, that's in Europe, but most of the states have a version of it as well. And you have to keep PII, personal identifiable information, in one place. And if you don't have it and it gets out, you can be fined up to $600 per record. Okay, Facebook and Google were fined as soon as the GDPR came on. They were fined $800 million each, just instantaneously, because they couldn't gather all that information. So one of the most important pieces of security with Microsoft really is about data loss prevention, and how do you put in policies in place to then go ahead and lock down, okay, lock down information that could possibly be seeping out. Back to you, Phil.
Yeah, no, that's great. I appreciate that, Sherman. Yeah, so when we're looking at the compliance screen here, really it's just the same thing as where we were with, you know, the secure score, right? Where when we're there, everything's the same. When you look at your persona up on the top right, you know, you have your settings, and as you go over, you got this drop down, right? Perfect. Everybody there. So we're going to go to our compliance manager, and when you go to there, it's very, very similar to your secure score. So it's the exact same thing. It's just for compliance in itself. And as you look at the top, you can see your, you know, improvement actions. There's different things you can do. There's different types of solutions, right? And all these solutions are really like basically out of the box that Microsoft actually gives you to do, right? Assessments, and then assessment templates as well. I don't know how fast this thing's going here. So you can see my baseline here, my assessment templates. So I can use these in anything. I mean, there's tons and tons of information right here that we can use to use for, you know, our compliance, right? And I'm going to get into your HIPAA question here shortly here, Carlos. So very cool tool to use on Compliance Manager. Same thing, credit score. That's the way you got to think about it. And how you can achieve a higher score is just to implement more policies and more actions that you can definitely take from Microsoft itself. So when we go to Compliance Manager, right, and I want you to go down to Solutions here, and then I want you to go to Data Loss Prevention, all right, DLP. I want you to go ahead and click on that. So DLP, right? Data loss prevention really provides basically a simple method on, protecting sensitive information from risky to, inappropriate sharing or transfer or use, right? And basically what you can do is when you look at this here as data loss prevention, you can, read on documents, you can, see the latest news, right? You can hit this video tab and it'll take you to YouTube, and you can watch some videos on it just to kind of get some more information. And what you can do here is if you go to policies, you can create different policies if you like, right? So what you can do is, I want you to hit create. So I want to go back here. Maybe I went too fast. So I want you to go to policies. I want you to go to create policy. Click on that. Okay, so start with a template or create a custom policy. Well, I'm going to start with a template, all right? So you can search a template. You can look at different countries that you live in. So, whatever it is. Now, if you go down to categories, what you can do is, where we had HIPAA, right? And so medical and health. So let's say United States Health Insurance Act, HIPAA, right? And then when you click on it, it actually tells you what it is on the right here. So maybe you didn't know, it's right here. So if maybe we looked at financial, right? And we're like, Federal Trade Commission, right? I don't know what that is. Oh, that's what it is, right? Maybe privacy. And we scroll down and maybe we're looking at, the Patriot Act, right? And what does the Patriot Act do? It protects, credit card numbers, bank accounts, individual, taxpayer information, social security numbers. So since we're looking at the HIPAA one, right? Because Carlos had that great question. Hit that, and I want you to go to next. So make sure it's highlighted, hit next. And what we're going to do is create this policy here. So we can name it, HIPAA, I don't know. You can do whatever you want to name it. So we'll name it HIPAA, right? So we know which one it is. Boom. Description gives you a description on what it is. And then you go ahead and hit next. And what's cool about this is, it basically takes everything, Microsoft, and it overviews everything that you have. So not only Microsoft stuff, but, basically your on-prem stuff, different types of devices, your OneDrive account, your SharePoint, your email exchange, right? All this stuff. So you can turn these on or off depending on what you want it to go over or not go over, right? But we want to make sure that we're using these over everything, right? So define a policy setting. So you definitely want to make sure that you have this here. It's already clicked for you. You decide on, what default settings you have. You can customize, right? But I want you to keep review custom. So hit next there. And then it just gives you information. I mean, you can edit anything you want here. We're just going to click through this one, but
this is the info that you want to protect. So anything that contains the US Social Security number, drug enforcement DEA number, and content that contains sensitive info types, such as international classification of diseases or classification of diseases. So there you go. That's what it's protecting.
And if you wanted to edit or you can do that.
Yeah, we can. If you click on that edit, you can actually manage the confidence level or high confidence. These and what this means is how sensitive it's going to be, right? how sensitive it's going to protect some stuff. So this is kind of where you would do that.
Right. Yeah, so you can, just like Sherman said, and you can go to low confidence, you can put high confidence, depending on, social security number, I'd probably put it on high, right? Because that's pretty important to know or to have protected, right? So we're going to go hit next again. Protection actions. So these basically are different boxes that you can click on, right? That either you can send alerts when content matches the policy conditions, it will actually show in their email. So actually in the email itself, let's say I put in, a social security number, or maybe I put in an attachment with a social security number in it, right? It'll actually prompt me and it'll say, hey, this is no-go criteria, you're forewarned, don't send this out. And what we can do is we can actually block that as well. So not only do we can let them send it and just give them the warning, but we can also, lock it down. So anytime that somebody puts in a, social security number, they can't send anything at all. So that's just a couple things you can do. So hit next there. We can, right here, we can audit stuff. So rather it be, removable USB, we can do the printer, right? Clipboard, all this stuff that we can do. We can either take off or put on. We can restrict third-party applications like Dropbox or Salesforce. Maybe we want to put that stuff in there because we use that a lot in our organization, right? For instance. So just depending on what it is for you. Now, test or turn on policy. This is the most important part of the entire thing, I would probably say, because have anybody, ever tested something before they used it? I want to say probably everybody, right? But what if you didn't test anything? It's like not testing a new car before driving it off, right? Who does that? Probably nobody. But so what we want to do is we want to test it out first. We want to test it out first to make sure that it is proper, that it works properly. It will take about an hour or so for it to kick in. So once an hour passes, you can actually try to send an email and see if it's working or not. And maybe we made it so stringent that we can't do anything. So maybe then we turn this off, we recock, and then we send it forward again, right? So make sure we test it. So we hit next, and then it basically gives you an overview. The overview as you go over, you hit submit, everything's good. Oh, everything's good. It's gonna think about it for a sec, and now we have a new policy created. So now, as you can see, these are all of our policies here, right? We just made this HIPAA one, right? And now we're good to go. Cool. Is that good, Carlos? We good? All right.
So, what we could do, we could test this out a little bit. You want to show the Microsoft, or you want me to show the Word? Or actually, why doesn't everybody go down to their start window? We're going to open up Word in your RDP, right? So we're going to open up Word, click on Word. Okay. Now do a blank document, say a close here in this privacy option. Do a blank document. Okay. Type in this social security number for Alex Wong. And this is a made up name. There's not really an Alex Wong that I know.
Hold on. How many is that? Boom. Missing one.
You're missing
There we
one.
go.
Perfect. Okay, so you have that. Now go to File and Save. Okay, go to this PC. All right, type in social security number. Okay, push save. To the right, top right.
Oh, there we go.
Boom. That's a classification label. Basically says view permissions. So if you got to that far, this is the power of not allowing people to save personal identifiable information and getting a label. So in this case, what we had done earlier, actually, we created a policy, but we also created labels, right? To actually tell people, hey, no, you can't do that. So as you can see here also, like you could get the social security number, or I guess one of the other things that people do a lot of is they'll take a file that's really part of the company's information, and they save it to their desktop. And so that's why we want to do that, right? So Jonas has that. Can you enforce email encryption with DLP policies? Yes, you can do that, Aaron. Not necessarily with the DLP policy, but we can force email encryption for everything that's out there, 100%. Now Jonas has that policy. Cool. That's awesome to see. Data classification is really where it's at, right? Data loss prevention on that. So that's a good example of it working like that, right? Working right away. Now the policy that Phil and everyone here we put together, it takes about 15 minutes to cycle through, to go all the way through. So what we did was just kind of show you of a policy that we had created behind the scenes, right? To go ahead and do that. Back to you, Phil.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, so when you've seen that, basically like the security label, right, or sensitivity label, I'm going to show you how to actually make one of that, or actually put this in place, right? So now that we talked about data loss prevention, I want you to go to information protection. All right, so go ahead and click there. And this is going to pull up basically our security label screen here. So when you look at the very top, you can see labels, right? We can see what labels we have right now. We can see label policies. So we can see the policies that are already in place. And then we have auto labeling as well. And it actually tells you right here what that is. And when you go to labels, right, we're actually going to create one today. And I'm going to try to get through this fairly quickly here. So I want you to go to create a label, and it's going to pop up just like the DLP, right? So let's say, for instance, we're gonna name this. Let's just go with your persona name. So my name here today is Megan, right? So I'm gonna just put Megan. Maybe you would put, normally you would put, I don't know, PII, social security numbers, or, whatever security label that you're looking to put into place, maybe name it that name. I'm just putting this name in just to make it easy for everybody, right? So display name, because I want everybody to actually see it. So we'll hit Megan again, right, for display name. And then description for users. Maybe it's, I don't know, protecting social security numbers. I don't know, right? Good. And then I want you to hit next. Oh, because I already have that name in there. My bad. So as we go into this, right, it'll say, basically the scope, right? So we definitely want to hit emails and files, right? But we can also do, it doesn't show it in here because we're just in a practice thing. So you can do it over Azure. We can do groups and sites. We can click those too if they were made available, but we can't today, right? So we're going to definitely hit files and emails, because that's going to ensure that those are encrypted and that it's email safe, right? So when we're looking at encryption, we want to make sure it's encrypted for all files and emails, and we want to mark the content, right? So marking the content, go down to next. And what you can do here is we want to assign permissions. So go down to assign permissions. And if you go to the top right here, it says, basically all users or groups in your organization. You would probably want that for everybody, right? But let's say we just want it for a few people. Maybe it's just like, maybe like the HR department, right? That where we want them to see these things, or, you know, maybe it isn't. Maybe we want to use everybody. Cool. So once we hit that, we hit save. And what it does is it shows basically everybody down here. So if you did individuals, you would see the individual's name here, basically in a list of however many individuals that you did. So we want to keep these the same here. Assign permissions now, you know, user access, you know, you can have never, specific dates. So when you make a classification for a label, you know, we don't want it to expire, right? But maybe you do. Maybe you want it to expire. So maybe you only give it to a certain date, and then it gets basically, you know, erased, or maybe, you know, a number of days or something like that. So allow offline access. You could say always, or maybe you want it to be never, maybe just a number of days, depending. Same thing there. So go ahead and hit
Wait,
next.
go ahead. You have to assign the permissions to everyone. Go ahead and click
I'm
on
sorry.
assign permissions. Oh, you already did. Okay, you already
Yeah.
did. Sorry. Bro. Okay. Yeah. Go next.
So-
You don't have to do double encryption yet.
Yep. So hit next, and then you're going to go up to content marking, right? So when you go to content marking, it's basically just a watermark. So you can do a watermark in the middle, you can do a header or footer, you can do all three if you want. I want you to click one of them, and I just want you to hit customize text. And when it comes up off to the side here, you can put whatever you want the watermark to say. You could say, you know, just like I had before, I put, you know, do not send PII, right? Maybe that's what I wanted to say. Maybe I wanted to say confidential. Maybe I wanted to say secret or top secret, whatever you want. But the font size is what gets me sometimes, because it starts out with 10, and how many, you know, documents and things that we use at, you know, 10 font size to 12, like probably pretty much everything, right? So you want to make it big. So I want to make it 100, and then you can change the color to different colors. Maybe you want it blue or green, you know, whatever. Maybe you want it diagonal or horizontal, no big deal. So you pick whatever one that you like, and then I want you to hit save. Now go ahead and next. And then I'm going to turn auto labeling on, right? Files. And we're going to go to, let's see, add conditions. You can do add, and I want you to add sensitivity info types, right? I want you to click on that. Now what this does is actually it's going to pull up a whole list of stuff that you can basically, you know, look for or put into your sensitivity label for it to catch. So I know at the very bottom, the United States is at the bottom, right? So maybe you're from Australia. Maybe it's a Australian passport number that you want to protect. But as you go down, right, go all the way down to the bottom, and the third one up to the top is social security numbers, right? You can go ahead and click that. But what's also cool too is maybe you're making, you know, a policy for all types of PII. So maybe it's driver's license numbers or bank account numbers. Maybe you work with the UK in some sort, and you want to, you know, block their driver's license numbers, whatever it is, right? You can click however many or just one. We're just going to do social security numbers today. You're going to hit add, and then display the message, same thing, you know, do not send PII, right? Boom. Hit next. Now, if we're, you know, in our own stuff, we could probably hit these, but
Yeah,
because
we
we
just
can't,
didn't do it. We didn't do it for a group, so this doesn't apply.
right.
We
So
did it for
next,
the whole. Yep. Next
and
again.
then same thing, we're gonna hit next. And all this does is give you an overview, and you're gonna create the label. And it's gonna take a few seconds here. It's gonna create the label, and then what you have to understand about labels is it's kind of like making a flyer. You don't make a flyer and then not send it out, right? So now we have to send it out. So we just made the flyer, right? Now we have to send it out. So we're going to go to the Megan one, right? Or whatever one that you made, whether it's Lee or whoever, right? You're going to click on that and you're going to publish label, or if you go back, you can, 1 second here. Sorry. Or you can double click on it and it'll actually pull up this side page here, and you can go to publish label. It'll bring you to the same spot. So now we have to do this. We have to publish it, right? So we go to next, right? Because it's the one that we picked on, all groups and users, right? Next. We want to make sure that we provide justification if we want to take it off. Yeah, we want to put that on. Request users to apply label to emails and documents. Yeah, we want to put that on, right? So depending on what you want to do for this label itself, that's what you're going to put in. So maybe it's Power BI stuff. Maybe you want to put that in there. So hit next. So right here, basically all you're going to do is make sure it's the one that we're working with. So I'm working with the Megan one, right? So I want to make sure it's the Megan one again for all the emails. Same thing for the Power BI, right? And then name the sensitivity label policy. So it's Megan, right? Boom. We can add a description if we like. You're gonna hit next. Oh, Megan 1, sorry. And then hit next. And what this does is now it just went over an overview of what we need to submit for publishing now, right? So now that we submit, now it's being published for over everything now. And you hit done. And if you go up to label policies, you can actually see, you know, my Megan 1, it's in the actual policy now, right? It's down there. So, you know, that's security labels. It's a very good tool to use. I want to kick it over to Sherman here very shortly, but I want to make something, you know, really, you know, sending it home on security itself, because, you know, with our increasing, you know, digitalization of this world, right, that we live in today, and the threats that keep growing, you know, there's this stealth fighter jet in the Marine Corps, the F-35. It's a brand new jet. It goes up and down like this, right? It's kind of took over like the Harrier spot, right? And it's called the flying computer. And the reason is because of all the gadgets and gizmos and the AI, the camera views, you know, the data links and the different threat infiltration, you know, basically at the ready. And when you think about that cybersecurity attacks are more likely to bring that plane down than a missile. That's what's crazy. It's nuts when you think about it. But I'm going to send it off to Sherman here so he can go over Azure Sentinel real quick. And
All right,
I'll go ahead and make him a
yeah, if you make me a presenter, then I can share the screen. So guys, I just put in the chat window for everyone here. It may run over, gosh, about 5 minutes here, if that's okay. If you want me to run over Sentinel, it's probably one of the coolest things out there, actually. And just if you guys could just come back to the chat window, tell me if you're good to go, or that's okay. I apologize that we're a little bit over, but some of the stuff is just so darn cool. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here. I'll go ahead and Sentinel. Okay, perfect. Okay. Can you see my screen that says just Azure Sentinel?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we want to do here basically is just kind of talk about one of the coolest features that I think out there, Azure Sentinel. What Azure Sentinel does, it's a SIEM, right? It's a security incident and event management, but it has artificial intelligence. There's a lot of different SIEMs out there. But what we really love about Sentinel is it starts with managing all of your cloud applications. So everything in the cloud, starting with Microsoft, Azure, SharePoint, everything in the cloud, but also all of your other companies such as Dropbox, Salesforce, and monitors that. But then also can monitor all of your on-prem endpoints. We recently, in the last several months, we've had about 5 opportunities that come from this from major hospitals that had like 4,500 endpoints, and trying to figure out, well, how do we, what can we use to monitor everything, right? And what we also wanted to kind of mention here is Sentinel also uses artificial intelligence, right, to really kind of really help you monitor what's going on, provide suggestions to you. So it kind of reduces the workload of having a big security team on, because it's constantly monitoring, constantly using machine learning algorithms to actually do that. So with Azure Sentinel, if we kind of just look at the screen here, with Sentinel, let me go ahead and just 1 second. With Sentinel, the main thing is about collect, detect, investigate, and respond. That's really what it's doing. It's cloud native SIEM plus SOAR. So if you take a look at this, we're going to go to the next screen. One of the first things is using the main dashboard. You can receive an all-up overview of their security posture of your environment. We can see events and incidents going into your environment right now. That includes, but not limited to, active incidents and their status, trends across events and incidents, data source anomalies detected, and we can also use Microsoft Threat Intelligence to see who's being attacked and why. So if you take a look at this, you can see the events over time. It's a holistic view, right? Security events, insight events, others. On the left-hand side, we have our menu bar, right? But recent incidents, suspicious administration. So you end up with a thing. And a lot of people don't know about this, is that Sentinel actually comes with your Azure account. And it's not very expensive to just put it out of the box. It just gets, not expensive, but depending on how many endpoints you're configuring it, that's where the meat and potatoes is. But you can try it like today if you even wanted to. So the next thing what we want to kind of talk about is inside a Sentinel are data connectors, right? So Sentinel has a comprehensive log collection, right, for this, right? And what we'll start off with is understanding like the experience for data connection points, right? So Sentinel has a comprehensive log collection capability that makes it easier than ever to connect your data to Azure Sentinel, right? And the connectors, like these are connectors such as, for example, like AWS Cloud Trail to your Palo Alto devices. It can monitor that. They're also announcing several new connectors: ForcePoint data loss prevention, ForcePoint CASB, right? Zimperium, Squad, SECRMM. There's a lot of things that it can connect to. So if you currently have other types of devices or different things, it's not a problem. So what it does, what we're going to do here actually is we're going to show you the Azure Active Directory connector so we can monitor logins, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click this down, and I'm going to find the Azure Active Directory connector, right? So we have this one. We're going to click on Azure Active Directory. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see how it actually monitors the actual sign-ins and logins. So if we click on the connector page, it'll bring us to another slot where now we can see the description of it, what has been happening, what are the prerequisites, what are the configurations, settings for this. But we can actually monitor, okay, there's 7 different workbooks, 2 queries, 39 analytic role templates that are associated with this inside of Azure Directory. And you can see sign-in logs, audit logs, Azure Active Directory, no intent logs, right? AAD service logs. You can see those in here. So super cool, when it comes down to the connectors. Now, a lot of data has really kind of data in coming for endpoints, but a lot of us now are having some type of IoT connections, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Azure Defender for IoT connector is actually pretty cool. So if you have IoT devices, right, we can connect, and this is what I'm just trying to conceptualize how you understand it. You can connect IoT devices into Sentinel, right? And then you can combine IoT security data with data from across your organization and use artificial intelligence for that advanced analysis, which I really think is cool. You can also track movement, which I really like with IoT Defender, monitor alerts across all of your IoT hub deployments and act on potential risks. So let me go ahead and click on the next site. So as you can see here, let me go, actually, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go forward here. If we click on this, if you have like threat intelligence that's supported by a platform such as MISP, Anomaly, ThreatStream, Palo Alto Networks, MyMeld, or Threat Connect, you can actually connect it all inside of this, using that, right? Using these data connectors. We can obtain threat connections from open source or paid feeds offered by Stix format or Taxi, right? You can use the threat intelligence of this within those data connectors to actually connect and import threat intelligence directly into Sentinel, and then use the built-in analytics templates that we're going to show you here in a little bit to really monitor that and also make suggestions using artificial intelligence. That's just really cool. All right, so let me just show you real quick. I'm going to scroll down here. We're going to get down to IoT and as you can see here, when you click on IoT, you're going to see there's nothing inside of this, but we could, open the connector. All right, now the next thing I want to talk about is workbooks. Now, what I love about workbooks, I'm going to click over here to workbooks. Workbooks basically are using a comprehensive built-in workbook gallery inside of Sentinel already that you can implement right away, right? So for example, I'll show you here. If we look at workbooks, right? Let me go ahead and scroll down. We can scroll down to AD sign-on logs, right? So if I scroll down to AD sign-on logs, now AD sign-on Sentinel workbooks are used to organize and communicate data insights, right? Workbooks are an out-of-box solution that enable you to monitor or learn about important metrics or change, right? Sentinel provides a gallery of these workbooks, so you can scroll down and see a bunch of different ones, or workbooks, excuse me, that will help you out with doing that. So what we'll do is I'm going to click on View Template, right? And what we're doing here is we're actually going to monitor someone sign in, Alex W sign in, right? And inside of this, we can drill down into the user activities, right? How many times did they sign in, success, pending user action, failure, security CIE, 6 minutes ago they signed in, security CIE, 8 minutes ago, Alex W signed in. We can actually watch this using those workbooks that automatically connect into Azure sign-in info. So it's pretty cool. So you can just kind of, scroll back. Let me go back one. You can scroll and add any one of these different workbooks that already can apply. So it's kind of easy to do that, right? So let me go ahead and move forward again. Go back. Okay. So we did this one. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is analytics. So I'm going to click on the analytics piece of it right here. Analytics is really awesome. And why I like analytics is because we're going to use ready-to-use templates that have already been created, right, for detection of attacks and servicing common attack vectors. So we started rule-based detections that work to aggregate suspicious event chains or detect an anomalous behavior. We then progress to more advanced analytics, such as class and machine learning based scenarios called fusion detections. And that's the kind of cool thing here. We're going to show this to you in a second. Today, the 35 attack scenarios detected by this class of detections, right? There's 35 of them. And what we're going to end up doing is we're going to explore how detection analytic rules are configured today. That's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to click on rule templates. Oops, let me go back here. Now, if you look at the rule templates, these are the templates that are actually already predefined. And as you can see here, teardrop memory only dropper, Solarigate and network beacon, schedule, DNS, command and control, suspicious application consent similar, right? These are the tactics that you're actually, and what we're doing is analyzing based on these rule templates. So it's really cool. You can go check out a bunch of different ones and take a look at it. All right. So now we've done analytics. The next one is really incidents, right? How do we actually track incident and incident response? So I'll click on incident response. Now, when we progress to more advanced analytics, such as class and machine learning based detections called fusion detections, right? Today, there are 35 attack scenarios detected by this class of detections, right? These detections take advantage of embedded AI to fuse together multiple low priority signals into accountable high fidelity incidents, okay? So what we're going to do here, since we're in the incidents now, this is with machine learning is turning on. So it's basically watching it from the back end, right? So let's go ahead and let's click on activity. Let's see, 6128. Okay. So activity from a Tor IP address. Okay. Let's click on that. Okay. Wait a minute. So now we clicked on that, and then we can go over here and we can investigate. So I love this. We can investigate it. And when we investigate it, we see, okay, there's activity. We have activity with Tor address, medium, new, unassigned. We can actually click down to the IP address, right? And then we can click on related alerts. So let's just check this out. We'll click on related alerts. And then now what we can see in the alerts, it's going to tell us all of the alerts, the date, the time. These are the logs that happen to do with it, such as activity from Tor IP address, right? So Microsoft has an algorithm right now that says, hey, if you're trying to come in from an IP address, it's automatically alerted. You're not allowed to come in from like a Tor or Onion. If you're trying to spoof who you are, what you're doing, you can't. So, all right, let me go back here. I'm going to say OK. All right, so we're back into incidents. OK, next one. I know I'm going a little fast here. I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I get this through. The next one is hunting, right? So if we click on hunting, I think hunting is probably one of the best ways of understanding your business and also training the machine learning model. So there's built-in hunting queries, right, that we can provide entry points to figure out where to start for hunting cyber attacks. We can create our own bookmarks, right? So we can bookmark significant security events. We can use notebooks to automate investigations. So we're going to show you this in just a second. Built-in Jupyter notebooks with artificial intelligence are actually pre-provided, that we can actually use that to automate the investigation, right? And then, or we can do hunting live stream to create interactive sessions. So we can test newly created queries as events, kind of fold out in the curve. Okay, so for example, if you're an investigator who wants to be proactive about looking for security threats, Sentinel's powerful hunting search and query tools can hunt for those security threats across the whole organization's mountain of data, and then proactively find new anomalies that weren't detected by your security apps. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and put run displayed queries. Okay, so it's going to run the queries, right? Now during your hunt, you want to be notified, right? If there's anything relevant activity associated with the entities you're investigating. For that, you can use Azure Sentinel live stream. Okay, for that. So live stream allows you to be notified of any significant security threats as they occur, which I think is so important these days, right? So we want to do that. Okay, so let me go ahead and scroll. Hold on a second. Let me get down here. We're going to use my bookmarks. Okay, there we go. All right, now that we have this, we have live streamed anomalous RDP. And as you can see here, 226, 225, 225, 225, we're live streaming everything that's going into this. So that's kind of a cool way. So we have hunting, right? We have analytics we talked about, data connectors, hunting, incidents, using artificial AI, inside of this. But now we want to get into notebooks. So one of the cool things about notebooks is we can expand the capabilities of Azure Sentinel data, right? We can do that with Jupyter notebooks that combine the power with the ability to process the data using purpose-built libraries with machine learning already in there. So if we go to notebooks and we click on notebooks here, this is awesome because now this shows us there's machine learning guides, right? And this is how we turn on that AI function. We have to find some algorithms. And the cool thing with the machine learning algorithms inside of Microsoft, they give you ideas, but we can also look down to like guided hunting or entity explorer. It really shows the power of Sentinel. So let me go ahead and go to the chat window here. So we want to do one more poll here. I know that we have lost a few people, but basically what we'd like to share with you is actually, I think I did the polls. I think I'm on here. One of the questions that we'd like to ask, we're putting together, I don't have polls. Can you do the last poll? So we actually put on a cloud security workshop offer. And what that workshop is we spend between 6 and 8 hours with you over a period of 2 to 3 days. And we really kind of sit down there and we look at, what is your strategy, where you're trying to go. And then, we're working on creating DLP, data loss prevention policies, creating all of the things that we kind of talked about today, secure scored, data loss prevention, putting in policies, and then we come up with what's called a security report, right, at the conclusion of it. Now, at the conclusion of that report, we will then provide that to you and say, okay, these are what should be interested, right, what you're interested in. Oh, perfect. So as you can see here, this is the cloud security workshop. All right, so multi-factor authentication, endpoint encryption. So it's really more of like, hey, we'll give you this at the conclusion of it. We'll give you the report of it, and then you can decide what you want to do with implementation. With that being said, I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming today. We really appreciate it. And I just want to open it up for some Q&A, really. Allow people to ask any questions. I know we ran over a little bit, but we apologize, and hopefully you got some great stuff after this. Anyone have any questions or any thoughts? Did you guys like the presentation? Did you guys get anything out of it? You feel like you got something that you're able to leave with? Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Kurt. Okay, very good. Yeah,
Thanks,
so
Coach.
awesome. We'll follow up with the recording of this for everybody, and follow up with any of the folks that actually was interested in that workshop or want to talk about the workshop. I'm happy to help out with that. But anyways, thanks everyone. Phil, great job today, bud. Really great job.
Appreciate it.
I want to say thank you, everyone, and thank you from Green IT. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
You and the webinar.